Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by NewOxfordReview.org, the voice of Catholic Orthodoxy, in print and on the web, and RenewAmerica.com, expanding the influence of America's grassroots in the cause of freedom.
Hello, and welcome to today's edition of Catholic News Roundup. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. DOMA Defense changes counsel. Lawyers hired to uphold the Defense of Marriage Act, known as DOMA, have walked away from their contract because of pressure from special interest groups. The law firm of King & Spalding has decided not to defend DOMA, as a number of homosexual activists, many of them wealthy and influential, have been protesting loudly. According to the Economist website, former George W. Bush Solicitor General Paul Clement has quit his job with the firm in order to stay with the case. The Defense of Marriage Act was recently abandoned by the Obama administration because it defines marriage as the bond between one man and one woman and prohibits disordered same-sex marriages. Obama snubs Easter. Obama has completely neglected to issue a proclamation regarding Easter or even mention it in his weekly address after repeatedly commemorating Muslim holidays last year. In 2010, he issued public statements praising Islam holidays like Ramadan, the Hajj, and several others. Obama's first two presidential addresses regarding Easter were actually criticized for being too inclusive of all faiths, but his statements on Muslim holidays were limited only to its own observers. His presence at Easter church service is also being criticized because the pastor Wallace Charles Smith, who is a known racist, compares Rush Limbaugh to the KKK. Catholicism versus the Crown. Officials in the United Kingdom are facing controversy as they try to scrap a law that keeps Catholics from wearing the crown. The 1701 law, called the Act of Settlement, it requires England's monarchs to be in full communion with the Church of England as the supreme governor of the Anglican faith, which would exclude Catholics. A spokesman for the British government says that they accept that there are provisions in the Act which are considered discriminatory. Even in recent years, the law has affected several members of royalty, forcing one contender for the throne to completely forfeit his right to rule when he converted to Catholicism. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few seconds.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by PewSitter.com, your online Catholic newspaper for the third millennium, CatholicMediaCoalition.org, in line with the Church, online with the world.
And TheAmericanCatholic.com, politics and culture from a Catholic perspective.
Golden State crimes continue. The historic Santa Barbara mission was vandalized on Easter Sunday, only a week after the Church of St. John Vianney was destroyed by arson in Hacienda Heights. The website, California Catholic Daily, says parishioners arriving for sunrise mass were witness to the church's beautiful facade defaced by crude messages tying the Catholic Church to the Holocaust. The graffiti has been removed since it was found, but no arrests have been made. There have been many crimes directed at Catholic churches in California over the past year, including another case of vandalism in January that left the message saying, quote, "Kill the Catholics," scrawled on all the walls inside two churches in Anaheim and Irvine. And lastly, Chinese bishop dies. Faithful Catholic bishop dies under house arrest while blessing water for baptisms during Easter Vigil Mass. Bishop Peter Lee was 91 and died of a heart attack after suffering for years with a debilitating heart condition. Lee was arrested as a young priest in 1955, serving some 15 years in a work camp for his loyalty to the Holy See. He became bishop in 1987 and has been on house arrest ever since because of his continuous refusal to join the Chinese Patriotic Church. Bishop Lee leaves behind a diocese of 10,000 Catholics, 20 priests, and 30 nuns, who will all miss him after his funeral on April 29th. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure and tune in tomorrow for your daily dose of Catholic News Roundup right here on RealCatholicTV.com, and be sure to check out The Vortex today, where Michael will be discussing the Pope, Satan, and sin. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure and tell all your friends about us, and as always, God bless.